Well, it's time to say goodbye to the Bachelor Mansion as our two bachelorettes have split the men in half and are sending them to Paris, France. And with a new week, of course, that means there's a new preview to break down, where we'll be going over what to expect next episode, whose trip to Europe might be short-lived, as well as updates on some of the final pick predictions I made, and a conspiracy revolving around that strange rose ceremony from last week. So let's not waste any more time and get into this thing, and of course, as always, please no posting any blatant spoilers in the comment section unless it's something that's been sleuthed out from the previews, and a link to the full preview can be found in the description below.
Paris is romantic. There's something in the air. Paris just does something to you.
There's gonna be two separate groups now. We're on two separate journeys.
So here we are in Paris, and I'm pausing here to point out something that was left as a cliffhanger at the end of last episode. Remember Meatball crawling back to Rachel and asking for a second chance with her? Well, it looks like he's gonna get that second chance, as here he is in Paris with Rachel's group of men. But there is something strange going on with this Meatball that's still here past its expiry date, a conspiracy that's kept him around that I think production, and likely even Rachel herself, knew about from the start. But hold on to your tinfoil hats, we'll get into that later. For now, we've also got a glimpse of Gabby's one-on-one next week with Jason, a one-on-one that will start off shared with Rachel and Tino, as we saw in the Night 1 full season preview. But let's continue on.
Love to you is just the ultimate thing, and that's exactly how I am.
I never thought I would be able to find someone, and now it's right in front of my face.
Okay, so pausing here where we've got a bunch more one-on-one footage. Here with Tyler and Rachel, here with Tino, here with Gabby and Spencer, then here with Gabby and Eric. But only the shot with Tino is actually from a legit one-on-one for next week. The rest are all cruise ship shots. You can see the cruise vibe going on here in the background of this hot tub moment with Tyler, same as here with Spencer. Really strong cruise ship hallway vibes. So these moments are likely from a group date for next episode, as the gang will be traveling around Europe on a cruise ship where their first port of call will be France. The shot with Gabby and Eric, however, will be from the cocktail party before the rose ceremony, as Gabby's hair matches what she seems to be wearing for that. Something that we'll be seeing ahead.
Every time I'm in the same room as Gabby and Rachel, I realize my feelings toward Gabby.
He made a vulgar comparison, something about I don't trust these bitches.
I've tried hard to put my feelings aside.
So it seems like Logan here is ready to jump ship from Team Rachel to Team Gabby. We actually saw this in the season preview, but inverted, where production made it seem like the opposite was happening.
What's going on?
I still have feelings on the other side.
Why? Why me? Why now?
Now, what's funny here is this side profile does look like Logan, so it's a slick cut they made from these two shots. But I believe in this moment he's talking to Rachel when he says he still has feelings on the other side, with the phrasing "the other side" making a lot more sense now that we know that the groups have been split up. Then in this shot, it's possible Logan is telling Gabby that he wants to swap over to her side. I'm sure this is going to be a major source of drama when it does happen, but ultimately, it will be Logan's downfall. I just think that Gabby was obviously willing to let him go if she let Rachel hand out a rose to him last rose ceremony, and I think that process had already started for Gabby back on the group date where both of them kissed him, and Gabby let Rachel give him her group date rose. I mean, maybe Gabby will give him a shot, we'll see, but at the end of the day, in the long run, I think he's got no chance. But then of course there's the other bit of drama from this section, Meatball telling Rachel about someone saying they, quote, don't trust these bitches. This looks to be happening before the rose ceremony for next week, as Rachel's earring and outfit matches what she's wearing in this shot right here. And you might remember these outfits from the full season preview, where this was said.
You told the guys, I can't trust these bitches.
So, let's investigate. Who could possibly say he can't trust the Bachelorettes? For me, immediately one culprit came to mind. Hayden. Now, of course, there's a whole episode of drama ahead of us where circumstances could change, but as I see it, Hayden has the greatest motive to say this at this time because Gabby snitched on him to Rachel, telling her about Hayden saying Gabby was rough around the edges. You know, can't trust these ladies not to go telling on you to each other. And this would also fit into the current villain arc that Hayden is getting. Again, there's a whole episode to get through before this happens at the rose ceremony, and anything can happen, so this is still speculation based only on what happened last episode. But that's my current guess. Oh, and while we're here, also mark down Meatball for elimination as well. His tattling might buy him one more episode, but snitching almost always means you're headed home at some point yourself. Moving on.
Every single day is like a roller coaster.
Why does she look pissed off?
Do you know why I'm talking to you right now?
The shock on their faces, no one even knew what I was coming from.
So here we've got another clue pointing us towards the identity of the man who's pissed Rachel off. And this silhouette definitely looks like Hayden, and we've also got a pinkish collar here that matches the pinkish collar seen in this shot from before where, I don't know, kinda looks like Hayden just got kicked off the ship. And in this preview we also see a number of the other dudes in the rose ceremony outfits like Tino and Kirk, collars don't match, as well as Zach, Ethan, and Logan later on, also not matches. Plus, if we really freeze frame right here, we can see Jason in this shot, and not only does his collar seem more white, but if we go back a few frames, we can see he's wearing a rose. Not a big shocker though, considering he's got a one-on-one with Gabby next episode, and he's a guy that looks to be a part of the endgame. So, I think it's pretty safe to say that this guy right here is Hayden. Now, the other thing of note from this section is Rachel saying, the shock on their faces, no one even knew where I was coming from. But obviously here, she's not in her rose ceremony outfit. Could be her talking about Logan switching sides, but maybe it's her being upset about what went down at the rose ceremony. But whatever it is, it seems as though there's one more thing Rachel is going to be upset about on top of the bitches comment Meatball fills her in on during the cocktail party. But let's now finish this preview off and go over possible eliminations, a final 3 theory update, and even a conspiracy.
Tonight, Rachel was given some information about some things said that was really disturbing.
I hate every single day having to get to the point of wanting to leave. I'm just so over this. I'm so done.
And there you have it. Rachel is done, and it looks like this end section is just Jesse Palmer filling the dudes in on what is likely going to be a cocktail party cut short. I don't think we're going to see it being outright cancelled because there are a few shots like this one with Gabby and Eric still having time together that night, plus there's Meatball's conversation with Rachel, which I think goes straight into drama, and then the cocktail party is cut short. But as for the rose ceremony itself, who looks to be going home? Well, first off, we have 18 men left with 9 for each Bachelorette. And while we still don't know the rules for this season, I'll say for now, no more than 2 men on each side are going to get the boot next week. Of course, Hayden looks to be one of those guys for Rachel, especially if he's the guy Meatball is snitching on. Otherwise, there are a few men with very little screen time who could easily be eliminated from either side. Like for Rachel, we've got Meatball, though his snitching might get him through one more week, Jordan, who I think is a prime candidate for elimination, and Ethan. And while we're here, last week we did theorize that Ethan could possibly be in Gabby's final 3 due to this shot of him in a tropical location, as we know that Mexico is going to be the final filming location for the season. However, we also noted that this shot could simply be from when they're still in California, and I now think that's the case with him being a Team Rachel guy. And at this time, I do not believe he switches teams. It'd be pretty devastating for both Logan and Ethan to swap over in the weeks ahead. So ultimately, this could mean Ethan is headed home as early as next week. As for Gabby's men, I'm eyeing Kirk and Michael. There's just no footage of them both in the previews and during the episodes. Men like Spencer, Mario, and Quincy are on the bubble as well, but at least we got an extra romance shot with Spencer this preview. Mario Mario still has that first impression rose going for him, and Quincy does have one random shot of him from the previews that we haven't seen before. Now yes, this is him in his sweater from this moment last episode.
It's pretty nice.
Oh, you like it? Bro, I got this from Mexico, bro, when I went on a wedding trip.
So maybe this is cut footage from when they're still at the mansion. But I've also got nothing else to go off of, so if it's just two men we're looking to cut from Team Gabby, I'll take Michael and Kirk over him. But now, before we go, there is one last thing I want to talk about that's been on the minds of a lot of viewers since the end of last episode. And that is, what the heck is going on with the roses at this rose ceremony? Well, don your tinfoil hats because there is a conspiracy afoot. Take a look at this. This is right before the roses were to be handed out last week, where the men were split into Team Gabby or Team Rachel. And at this point, we still have 21 men. 2 already had roses from Rachel, 1 from Gabby. Yet, look right here. Gabby has 8 roses to be handed out. A perfect number if you're doing the math and know that 3 men will be eliminated, leaving 9 to remain for each bachelorette. But then, if you look here, Rachel has 9 roses to be handed out. And that's on top of the 2 men she already gave roses to during the episode. So what's going on here? Is there some major Rachel favoritism going on from production where they allow her to keep 11 guys while Gabby only gets 9? Also meaning only 1 of the 21 men were going home this week? Or did they know everything from the start? Absolutely they did. This is barely even a conspiracy at this point. They knew 3 men were going to reject Rachel, leading to her only handing out 6 of her 9 roses, and that all 8 of Gabby's roses would be accepted. But this still leaves 8 men for Rachel and 9 for Gabby, an uneven split. So here's where the real conspiracy comes in. Production and Rachel, and possibly even Meatball, knew from the start that he would be rejecting Rachel's rose and then come crawling back to be accepted, leading to the 9-9 split between the 2 leads. Thus why we had the strange number of roses here, and thus why Jesse Palmer snatched all the roses and threw them away instead of letting them be given to someone else. Now it is possible that Meatball was just a pawn in this game and he was convinced to come crawling back by production, who would have just asked someone else from the rejection squad to do it if Meatball said no, but certainly production and Rachel herself knew more than they let on. So that's it for this preview breakdown for week 4 of The Bachelorette. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to give it a like and subscribe for more. See you all next week to do some Bachelorette cruising, and until then, Bachelor Fantake out.
Why does she look pissed off?
Do you know why I'm talking to you right now?
Something about I don't trust these bitches.
I hate every single day having to get to the point of wanting to leave. I'm just so over this. I'm so done.